Alright people, this is the Fix the Money channel, I'm Nico, and today I decided it's time for a little bit of a rant. I want to talk about central banks, I want to talk about centralized control, I want to talk about inflation, I want to talk about all the insane plans that they have for us, the insane things that they say, why Bitcoin is the solution to all of this, and why I think the Americans are the ones who need to lead the rest into the, solution into the promised land of Bitcoin. This is of course not financial advice, this is life advice, because I think things are really going to get worse from here. Things are already really bad. It's actually pretty hellish. Here in Europe, we have extremely high inflation. We have 10% here in Austria. There's countries that have more than 20%. And of course, Argentina and Turkey and other countries outside the so-called first world, they are getting eaten alive by inflation. But I don't have to tell you this, even Americans and Brits are getting eaten by inflation right now. The British have also yanked about £5 billion from their banks because they don't trust the banks anymore. Who can blame them? We'll talk about this in a second. And then you have the Bank of England saying, yeah, people just need to accept that they are going to be poorer. This is absolutely infuriating. The only people who maybe deserve to be poorer are central bankers themselves. Bureaucrats who do not help anybody with their money printing, who are actually in charge of the money printing, who actually brought down the inflation onto us, and they now act like they don't know where it's coming from. Well, maybe they don't know. Maybe they're stupid enough to believe that you just print money by the boatload, give it to people, and then nothing happens, no inflation happens. But I think that now is the time that people are starting to realize that the central banks are in the whole game. And I think it's important because when you look at the media, the central banks never get any problems, never get any stick, Yes, the banks have been doing many things wrong, but the incentives are coming from the system. The incentives are coming from the easy money, and the easy money comes from the central banks. We always talk about the bankers and their greed. These are all functions of an unhinged monetary system, of a complete fiat system, something that has never been tried before in history, something that when it has been tried approximately, it has always failed. And now we have Bitcoin, which is the complete opposite. While the central banks, and they're even called central banks, while the inflation leads to concentration of wealth at the top, to concentration of control at the top, Bitcoin is the complete opposite. It distributes the control, it distributes the power to the people. And this is why they are so scared of Bitcoin right now. When you look at the ECB, they are actually putting out anti-Bitcoin articles basically every week. One is more ridiculous than the other. It's pure propaganda, and I know it's pure propaganda because there is not a single word about the positive innovation in there. If you had at least a single word about positive innovation, I can think, okay, this guy looked at it, he doesn't like it, but at least he looked at it. They don't even look at it. They see it as a threat. That's why they're coming up with central bank digital currencies right now. One of the reasons is they want more control, they want more insane monetary experiments like negative interest rates. That's what's going to happen. Central bank digital currencies are literally the devil. And we are seeing this because they are rolled out in China first, in authoritarian countries. And then of course Europe, we don't really know. Most of our politicians want to go down the China route, and the Americans are a little bit smarter here. And I think that the Americans need to stop this immediately and need to go the other way, need to go the way of the free market. And the way of the free market, of course, leads us to Bitcoin. Look, the whole centralization, the whole inflation, the whole control, it's not going to solve anything. It's only going to get worse from here, and it's also going to get worse for the people who think that they are in control. In the end, it all gets centralized very, very quickly, and we see this with the banks now. We see banks failing one after the other, and then the government comes in and implicitly guarantees the deposits to have to stop, bank runs, which is a very, very bad thing. But then the banks get bought up by even bigger banks who get backstopped by the biggest banks, by the central banks. That's why it always leads to centralization, inflation, Cantillon effect. The money goes to the rich people first, they get richer, and not a lot of money comes to the other people. You can see this with the inflation, 10% inflation, and then they tell us, yeah, but you get 7% wage hike. Yeah, but a year later, after everything is already more expensive, and then it's only 7% and 10% is the inflation. That's how basically people get stole from. And if you want to be really shocked, just have a look at the Communist Manifesto by Marx and Engels. Point 5 in their 10-point insane plan for humanity is a complete centralization of the credit system in one state bank with absolute monopoly. Well, There is a show on Sky Atlantic. I don't know if it ever aired in the US. It's an Italian-British show, but it has an American in there. You'd probably know him, Patrick Dempsey. He's McDreamy from Grey's Anatomy, and he's playing an American banker who is officially or unofficially tasked with fighting China within the financial system. He's basically a spy, but in the banking world. And there's this episode in the second season that's called Satoshi Nakamoto, where he talks about the idea of using Bitcoin, a hard money, basically to face down China, because China could never work with Bitcoin. And this is so true. The fact of the matter is China is super, super scared of capital flight. They're scared of people doing what they want, of personal freedom, of the freedom of thought, the freedom of information. All the stuff that America is built on, China is super scared of. And then there is some in the American cantillionaire class who think that China is going to be the next big thing. And they're already moving there mentally and with their capital. I'm not going to name any names. I don't think that it is necessary. But many of you will know who I'm talking about here. They think that they can just keep on doing what they have been doing over the last centuries in China, and I think Bitcoin is here to stop. And I think that the American people especially need Bitcoin to help succeed. Because think about it. Patrick Dempsey is right in that series. The Chinese cannot deal with Bitcoin. The Chinese cannot deal with a hard money. The Chinese cannot deal with a money that actually serves the people and not the government or the party. The Americans actually can. There's many things wrong with the US, and many of those things that are wrong also stem from the fiat monetary system and the additional fact that through the petrodollar system, the Americans live even cheaper lives than we, the Europeans, do, or anybody else in the world does. But at the same time, America is still the place where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness mean something. America is still the place where you have a market economy, where you have people actually believing that the market economy is a good thing. Right here, I can show you a couple of actual communists. Western Europe is pretty bad. Eastern Europe is the second place where people actually get it. By the way, next month, BTC Prague, that is in Eastern Europe, Prague, especially Czech Republic, especially we had Matthias on the show last week. They have so many great Bitcoin companies. It's going to be an absolute massive party. I'm going to be there. Yael is going to be there, and lots of big names from Michael Saylor to others are going to be there. I'm really looking forward to it. And if you want to join us, use the code Nico Prague. That's it. Use the code Nico Prague to get 10% off your tickets. Alright, so what's happening now? We see Gary Gensler, who is obviously a Bitcoin maximalist, talking about how all the other cryptos are basically illegal securities. I would call them scams. He doesn't use the word scam, but illegal security is very close. And this is very interesting. And I had a question at an event yesterday where I spoke, and it really got me thinking. The Europeans, we have a new regulation. It's called Marketing Crypto Assets, MiCA. We're very proud because we love regulation, right? The new regulation has two problems. First problem is that there's no differentiation between Bitcoin and crypto. Second problem is that there is still a little bit of a paragraph in there that could be used, the ECB says this, that could be used to introduce a proof of work mining ban in the future. Now, I believe proof of work is one of the most important inventions of the 21st century. I believe if you ban proof of work, it's the most inhumane thing you can do, and you haven't done the work, you haven't looked at this, you don't understand what you're doing, and you're absolutely doing the wrong thing. But I cannot trust in politicians to do the right thing. Americans are built differently. Like I said, there is more of a state politics. I'm talking about Texas, I'm talking about Florida and other states, but there's also a more direct line between politics and the people. And I think if you're an American, you need to make Bitcoin one of your main political aims in the future, because first we need to fix the money, and then we can fix the rest. All the other problems, be it the crazy politics that we see today, and even immigration is a function of the monetary system, because most of the people who flee to the so-called rich West want to go there because their system is even worse. So I think that we see countries like Nigeria and in Africa, countries in South America, they will embrace Bitcoin because they profit off it first. But the Americans need to be the ones to make sure it succeeds. It's in the interest of the United States of America to embrace Bitcoin. They have the dollar, they don't need a USD stable coin because the USD is already the most important coin in the digital realm. Look at all the stable coins. I mean, they don't need a CBDC. They already have stable coins. And Fed people like Neil Kashkari, he gets it. Sultan Posa, the analyst, he gets it. And many people in the Bitcoin world get it as well. This is not about investing your money. This is not about making money. This is not about getting more fiat. It's about fixing the money. It's about getting out of fiat and getting into a new world where we can, start building up again, have actual trust in each other, because we can trust the money by not trusting into a central bank. I think it's completely ridiculous that we talk about, ChatGPT taking the jobs and computers taking jobs from people in supermarkets, while we could, use computers to take the jobs of the central bankers who absolutely do nothing for society. They're actually bad for society with what they do, especially now that things are getting so bad that they can only prolong the game with more inflation and more control. This is something that we need to stop, and we need to think about what is within our power to actually do that. Talking to people, informing people, telling them that this is not about, speculation, it's not about greed, it's not about making money, it's about fixing the money. This is what I'm here for. This is why I called this channel Fix the Money. This is why I hope you like content like this, and subscribe on Fix the Money Net, leave a like on YouTube, and maybe subscribe there as well. Check out our sponsors, use the code Fix the Money at 21 Bitcoin and the Bitbox 02 to buy Bitcoin, get money off of your purchases, and also buy the Bitbox 02, the hardware wallet, a little bit cheaper. But that's only a little plug for the sponsors. I believe that this is a mission. I believe that Bitcoin is a revolution. I believe that the central bankers did not see it coming. That's why they are hastily trying the stuff with the central bank digital currencies right now. I believe that they are actually failing. You see that in China. You actually see that it's also failing when they were trying to ban the Bitcoin mining, because there is still 20% of the hash rate coming from China. We have stories about Nigerian companies buying goods from China in Bitcoin. We have stories about Afghani women getting paid in Bitcoin and then using Bitcoin to flee the country. And then there is central bankers who have never had a real job in their lives who want to ban Bitcoin because it could endanger their position of power. No. We have a new technology, we have a way out of the problems that we face today, and we need to embrace it wholeheartedly. And that means that we need to make a political issue out of it, and we will make a political issue out of it, because if Bitcoiners are one thing, they are laser focused on this one topic, and they will not vote for politicians who oppose Bitcoin. The Bitcoin revolution has only started. I think that the Americans need to lead the way for us. Yes, we in Europe, we absolutely will contribute, absolutely. Look at the Czech Republic, even here in Austria, even in Germany and other countries, Switzerland. Just been to Switzerland, they are not in the EU, they're a bit more free, lots of Bitcoin companies there. You're not alone. In the West, you're not alone. There's people outside of the West as well who want Bitcoin to succeed. And in the end, if the Chinese communist stuff collapses, the Chinese people will profit enormously. But in the geopolitical situation right now, this is the way forward. Jason Lowry talks about it from a completely different perspective, but the answer is the same. If you want to succeed in the future, we need Bitcoin. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you that you are here with me, because I'm going to stay until, the revolution succeeds, basically. Bye-bye.